Welcome, CLC. It's another between sermons session, and I'm glad for each one of you that have joined us for this session today. But just before we jump into the teaching, I want to bring to your attention a couple of things from this past Sunday's message that I think I need to make clear. For some of you, it may be a reminder. For others, this may be really helping you to understand even what we were talking about. But I mentioned to you near the end of the message this past Sunday that we want to reset this whole area of reaching people, reaching lost people at CLC. And the first way that I suggested that we do that is through an inviting culture where it's just the natural thing that we do to invite people, to invite them to come either to our services here where we gather in Tinley Park, or to invite them to our online services that they could do right from the privacy of their own home. Here's the thing. I mentioned all of that, but I didn't go on to tell you that this particular series that we begin this Sunday is the perfect time for us to create that inviting culture, because everything that we're going to talk about in September would be great for you to invite your friends, your coworkers, anyone that you know, because all of us have experienced hurts in life, and we're going to be talking about a church that heals. And so I really do encourage you to invite your friends starting now, starting today, to be a part of this particular series. And then the second thing that I mentioned that we want to do as a reset, not only to create an inviting culture at CLC, but also that we wanted every single Sunday to be able to present a story of life change, a video testimony from you as to how Jesus has changed your life. What I didn't make clear in the message on Sunday is the only way we can do that on an every week basis, because we know that changed lives become infectious and other people will have hope or faith that their life could be changed after hearing your story. But the only way any of that's going to happen is if you share your stories with us. We need to know the story of your salvation. We need to know perhaps the story of how you were delivered, maybe from addictions or from habits that you just couldn't shake, or the transformation of your marriage perhaps. There's any number of areas that you could share with us how God has changed your life, and we can get that on film. We can videotape you so that we'll be able to share it in our Sunday services. And so if you've got a story to share, and I think every CLCer should have one, if you've got a story to share, please let us know. You can email Joni, Joni, at clc.tv to schedule the videotaping, and you could be a part of really blessing us and reaching a lot of people with your testimony. Okay? So those are the things I wanted to mention to you. But now today, we're going to finish up this study that we've been doing on how to make good decisions. And over the last couple of months, what I've tried to do is to give you a grid of 7 questions that you can ask yourself before you make a decision. Again, not the minor stuff like where am I going to eat today, but the major decisions that could have an impact on your life. We've gone through 6 of those questions already. I'm not going to review them today, but I encourage you to watch the previous sessions of this series. But here's the 7th one, and it's probably my favorite of all 7, and that is, what is God saying to me through peace about this decision? If you've ever approached me privately and said, Pastor, I need you to pray for me, I really have to make a decision about this, whatever the issue was, I'm sure that the one verse of Scripture that I left with you above anything else, maybe the only verse I would have had time to tell you about, is Colossians chapter 3 and verse 15. I'll read it today from the Good News Translation, which says, "The peace that Christ gives is to guide you in the decisions you make." It couldn't be much plainer than that, could it? In other words, when you are needing to make a decision, the guide that you can look for is the peace that God gives you about that decision. The Greek word for guide there is literally the word umpire. Umpire. And you probably know, this is baseball season right now, so you probably know what the umpire does. I love a story I heard from about a retired umpire a number of years ago. Someone was talking to him about the difficulty of calling balls and strikes, and his reply was, "It ain't nothing till I call it." Because it really is true. The umpire on a baseball field has the final say. He has the final word, okay? And this particular scripture is telling us that the umpire of our heart is the peace that God gives us. The greatest example I've ever seen personally for this is a baseball example, except this one really happened back in 1998. And some of you maybe not were even born at that point, or certainly weren't watching baseball at that point. But in 1998, in the American League Championship Series, the game 2 it was, Chuck Knobloch. And if you enjoy this story, you may even want to do a search on Google or on YouTube. It's on film. You can see exactly what I'm talking about. It was the New York Yankees against the Cleveland Indians, and Chuck Knobloch was the second baseman for New York. And the batter in the 12th inning, who was trying to advance his runner for Cleveland, laid down a perfect sacrifice bunt. I mean, it was just terrific. And so the first baseman for New York charged in, grabbed the ball, and it was going to be a difficult play even to get the batter out. It certainly had no chance of getting the runner who was on his way to second. So when he throws the ball, just before the runner reached first base, the ball hit him in the back. Now, if he's out of the baseline, that would make an automatic out for him, and it would get New York closer to being out of the inning. But if he's not out of the baseline, then the ball is still alive, it's still in play, and he would be safe at first. Well, Chuck Knobloch had gone from second base over to first to cover the bag, and when the ball hit the runner in the back, Chuck Knobloch, then the umpire called him safe. Chuck Knobloch lost it and just started arguing. No, he was out of the baseline. And he totally ignored the fact that the ball had bounced away down towards right field, and he was too occupied with arguing with the umpire to even pay attention to what happened to the ball. And so the runner went to second and then to third and finally on and scored a run, all while Chuck Knobloch was arguing with the umpire instead of taking care of business. The sad thing about it, if you're a New York Yankee fan at least, the sad thing about it is it didn't change anything. He didn't change the umpire's mind. The run counted, and Cleveland won that game as a result of what the New York papers called a blockhead play by Chuck Knobloch. And so here's the thing. Here's my message for all of us. Arguing with the umpire doesn't change a thing. It doesn't change a thing in baseball, and arguing with the umpire of our heart, which is peace, also doesn't change a thing when it comes to making a decision. If you do have peace, and here's my advice to people, if you're making a difficult decision, you're not sure what to do, and people are telling you, man, I would not do that it's not wise, it doesn't look right, and maybe from a logical standpoint, maybe everything that you're considering just seems like this is not the right decision to make. Maybe it's the wrong timing, maybe it's the wrong financial issue, whatever it is. You could just be saying, from a logical standpoint, this does not seem like it's what I'm supposed to do. And yet, God puts a peace in your heart that is saying, yes, I'm leading you in this, I'm giving you peace in this, and you should go for it. Then I would tell you, instead of arguing with the umpire of your heart, ignore all of the advice to not take that action. If God has given you peace, follow your peace. On the contrary, if you don't have peace about whatever the decision is, and maybe all your friends are saying, oh man, this is the opportunity of a lifetime, and it looks, from a logical standpoint, it looks so good, it looks so right, and yet your heart is saying, no, this is not what I'm supposed to do. Then follow your heart, follow the umpire. Don't argue with him, follow him. I've used this particular advice in my own life more than once, I assure you, several times in my life, and I've never regretted following the sense of peace that God gives me, or making making a decision not to take action because of the lack of peace, that God is not giving me a peace about this particular decision. I hope that one will help you as much as it's helped me. In fact, I hope this whole series has been a blessing to you. It's certainly been my joy to be able to share it with you over these last couple of months. And I look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday for Between Sermons.